Good morning, dear students. Today we will begin with the second session of the third chapter, that is current electricity. So, in the first session of the third chapter, we studied about the basic concepts of current electricity, what is current electricity, and some properties of the current electricity, and the types of current electricity, that is DC and AC, direct current and the alternating current, and we learned them using the graph. In today's session, we are going to do one derivation and one more is the theoretical explanation. Okay, so the first thing is the electric current in conductors. So this is the important theoretical concept. Okay, so there is no derivation in this. So let us begin with the first concept, that is electric current in conductors. We know that whenever current flows through a conductor, the flow of electrons takes place. The electron starts to move. This motion is due to some force, right? There is a force acting. That is why the electrons are moving. We have learned this in our earlier chapters. Okay, because there is some force, the electron starts to move. So my question here is, from where is this force acting on the electrons? Where do these electrons get that force? Okay, for that, let us consider a conductor. Okay, so now let us consider a conductor. Say I'll take a cylindrical part like this. Okay, so let us take a conductor. Okay, so this conductor is not given any potential. That is, I have not done the battery connection to it now. Okay, I have not done any battery connection to this. Now what happens? Uh, Let us assume that this conductor is made up of a copper. Okay, we know that copper contains large number of free electrons, so let us consider this as a copper cylinder or a conductor, copper conductor. Now what happens in this conductor or this copper metal? There are free electrons in huge amount. Okay, they are in huge amount, uh, and they are in some random motion. Okay, random motion. So like this, one electron is moving like this. Okay, and one is moving like this, and one is here, some random motion. They are moving in some random motion. Okay, in this conductor there are free electrons, huge amount of free electrons, in these electrons there are positive ions immersed in these electrons. Okay, see, this is a conductor, and this conductor has huge number of electrons, and inside these electrons there are positive ions, okay, which are immersed in this electrons. Okay, these electrons are moving randomly inside the metal. As they move around randomly, they carry a charge. Okay, understood? Because of the ions present in them and the random motion of the electrons, they carry the charges. Now what I'll do, I'll connect a battery. This was not connected before. Now what I will do, with the help of a wire, I'll connect this conductor to a battery. Okay, whenever I write this symbol, this battery symbol, this is always positive and the smaller one is always negative. Remember, whenever the battery connection is done with this, like this is positive and this is negative. Sometimes you are giving uh, more power so that you can connect two batteries, three batteries, like this, four batteries. If you're connecting like this is positive, this is negative, positive, negative, positive and negative, and so on. So here I'll connect a battery. I'm connecting a single battery. Now this battery will produce a potential difference across the conductor. We know that, right? It produces the potential difference across the conductor. Therefore, we got the potential difference as well as the conducting path, right? This means both the conditions are satisfied for the flow of the current. We studied it in the first discussion of the beginning of the chapter, beginning of this current electricity. We studied that there should be two conditions for the current to flow. That is, there should be a potential difference and there should be a conducting path. Now both the conditions are satisfied, so there is a flow of current, and I can say the current is produced. The direction of the current is from the higher potential to the lower potential. That is, from higher potential is positive. From this side, positive to negative. That I mark it as I. That is current. Okay. We know that the electrons are negatively charged. These electrons, which are inside here moving randomly, they are negatively charged because electrons are negatively charged particles. When the current flows through the conductor, when I put on the battery and current starts flowing to the conductor, these negative electrons get repelled from the negative end of the battery. They get starts to repel. They don't go towards the negative end of the battery. They start to move towards the positive end of the battery because like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. So what they do, they start moving away from the negative end of the battery and they move towards the positive end of the battery. So this random movement will be like this. I will draw here. The random movement of these electrons will be in a same direction now towards the positive end. Now what happens? These electrons try to move towards the positive end of the battery, that is towards the positive side. I'm drawing it here. This is the positive side and this is the negative side, and they start to move towards the positive end of the battery. But when they start to move, they face some difficulties. When they were in the random motion, they have to adjust themselves so that they should move towards the positive end of the battery. When they are moving, when they are doing the movement, they face some difficulty. There is something that is stopping them. This is called as the resistance of the conductor. Okay, resistance of the conductor. Remember, something which is for stopping it, no, there's something that is disturbing the electrons or making them difficult to move from the random motion towards the positive end is called as the resistance of the conductor. But somehow they reach the positive end, they face this resistance and they reach the positive end of the battery after facing the resistance, and this process is called as the conductance of the conductor. The one which will be opposing or creating difficulty in their journey is called as the resistance of the capacitance. That is called resistance. Okay, resistance. But these electrons, they face all this resistance and yet they start to move towards the positive end and they reach the positive end. This is called as the conductance of the conductor. Okay, conductance of the conductor. One is resistance and one next is the conductance. You may get this for 1 mark. What is resistance of the conductor or what is the conductance of the conductor? Okay, now let us continue. We can say, see, now we can say that every conductor has two properties. Okay, by this I can say every conductor has two properties. That is, one is resistance of the conductor, and second one is the conductance of the conductor. I will write it. Conductance. Okay, so what is resistance? Resistance opposes the movement. Okay, resistance opposes the movement, whereas conductance allows the movement. Okay, it allows the movement. See, for example, now you people are at home, but when the regular life was there, you were supposed to come to college. You are coming to college, but it starts raining heavily. See, now it's raining. It is raining very heavily. So I thought of giving the same example. It starts raining heavily, and it is resisting you to come to the college. Rain is resisting you to come to the college, but you have to come to college. There is something important. Say you have a test, you have an exam, you have to come to college. So what do? You face all the resistance, you face the heavy rains, you manage somehow, you take car, you take a bus or something, you manage and you reach the college. You come to college, right? So that is conductance. You reach the college, that is conductance. Something is resisting you or creating difficulty for you to reach the college, is resistance. So remember it in a simple words. Okay. Now I can say they both are inversely proportional to each other. What is that? Resistance and conductance are inversely proportional to each other. So this is all about the electric current in the conductor. So it is a simple explanation, a simple concept, electric current in the conductor. Okay, the electrons will be moving randomly, and when you put on a battery, when the current starts to flow through them, they move towards the positive end of the battery. Okay, and they face the resistance. Okay, difficulty, that is resistance, and somehow they manage to reach the positive end, that is conductance. So you cannot expect more marks from this. You may just get 1 mark from this concept. Okay, or if they ask you the both, you may get it for 2 marks. So this is all about the electric current in a conductor. So now let us move to a very important concept, very important, okay, market. It is very important. So that is drift velocity. So we are going to start with a new concept, that is drift velocity. I'll write it down. Drift velocity. Okay, drift velocity. Let us study and understand about the drift velocity of electrons. Now, what is meant by drift? Okay, if you understand drift, then you can understand drift velocity. In normal word, okay, not in science. In common thing, what is drift? Drift means you are going in one direction. Okay, you are going in one direction, but due to some trouble or some difficulty, you reach another point, or you move in the another direction, or you take the another path. This is called drift. Okay, this is called drift. If I want to give the example, okay, if I want to give the example, see, okay, this is the river. Okay, now consider this as the river. The water flow is in this direction. Okay, the water is flowing in this direction. You want to cross the river. Okay, you want to cross the river from this point, and you want to reach this point. General, okay, don't go and don't imagine that you are swimming in the river like this. And just for the explanation of drift, I'm giving you this example. The flow of the river is in this direction, but you want to cross the river like this. So what you do, you start to swim. You get into the river, you start to swim. But what happens, the flow of the river is in this direction, right? So it pushes you like this, like this. You go somewhere like this and you reach the end, you reach the other end. But you are not, you wanted to reach at this point, but you reach at this point. Okay, I mean, you started at A, you wanted to reach B, but the direction of the flow of river was in this direction, so you reached the point C. So this is called as a drift. Okay, this is called as drift. In this case, in case of our concept, that is in case of electrons, uh, these electrons have to move in one direction, but because of the electrostatic force, they move in the other direction. Okay, understood what is meant by drift? This was the simple example of the river. But when you apply this drift in case of electrons, electrons should move in one direction. They want to move in one direction. But because of the electrostatic force, here because of the direction of the river, in case of electrons, because of the electrostatic force, they move in another direction. So this is called as the drift velocity of electrons. Now let us derive the expression. Now let us derive the expression for drift velocity. So this is a very important derivation, simple derivation, but there is a lot of understanding and lot of application. We take one expression from the first chapter and from the second chapter, we mix up all the expression and then we arrive at the final expression of drift velocity. This expression can be written in three forms. Okay, this is very important for your CET purpose. That is why I purposely explain you all the three forms of writing the expressions. Whenever there are different cases in which you can write one expression, I always explain all the three types of the expressions. Okay, see, I cannot stick to one expression, and in CET or in exam, if they ask you the other form of the expression and you are not able to write it, so I focus on all the different cases of the derivation. The derivation will be same, but the expression, end expression, you can write it in three ways. So now let us derive the expression for drift velocity. For that, let us consider a uniform conductor. What is meant by uniform conductor? The area of the cross section is same throughout the conductor. That means if I consider a cylindrical conductor, a conductor in shape of cylinder, if I consider like this, okay, and I'm saying this as the uniform conductor. That means if you cut it, if you take a cross section, it is uniform. The area of, if you cut this conductor in many pieces, no, it is same. It is same. It's not like one part is like bigger like this, okay, and one is smaller like this. No, it is equal, uniform. So I have considered the uniform conductor. Now let us connect this conductor to a battery with the help of the copper wire. Wait, let me erase this. Okay, so now what I will do, I will connect this conductor to a battery with the help of the copper wire. So I'll connect it to a single battery. So which one is positive end and which is negative end? This is positive and this is negative. Okay. So therefore current flows from positive to negative. So current. So I'll name it as I. Okay. Now let V be the potential across the conductor. Let V be the potential across this conductor. Now let us consider one free electrons. Okay. When you put on the battery, the potential difference is produced. Okay. This potential difference produces electric field. So remember it. Remember this. Before that, we'll consider this. What do you call this? Conductor is made of, has many number of electrons. So for one electron is over here. There are many, but we are focusing on this electron. Okay. Say it is one electron there, and we will name it as minus E. Okay, this electron is minus E. Just for understanding purpose, I've taken it. But this point which I'm explaining now is very important. See, whenever you put on a battery, when you switch on a battery, the potential difference is produced across the conductor. There is a flow of current. Why? The potential difference is produced and the conducting path is also there. So there is a flow of current. Okay. Therefore, this potential difference produces the electric field. The electric field inside the conductor. Inside the conductor. And the direction of this electric field is towards the negative end, from positive end towards the negative end. This is the direction of electric field. Let E be the electric field. Here is one important point you should note. In the previous chapter, when we were doing the applications of Gauss law, okay, in the previous chapter, that is in electrostatic, which we studied in our previous chapter, we saw that the electric field inside a conductor. We took a example of a sphere, right? That concept I had not done. I uploaded a new video. Please watch that video. You will understand, okay? In electrostatic, we consider the conductor in the form of sphere. And I said the electric field inside the sphere is zero, whereas the electric field on the surface of the sphere, okay, is there, it is present. But inside the sphere, it is zero. But here I am saying there is the electric field inside the conductor. Why? Because that was in case of electrostatics. There the electrons are at rest. Therefore, there is no electric field inside the conductor. Whereas in this case, the electrons are not at rest. Okay, they are not at rest. They are in the motion. They are in motion. So therefore, the electric field is produced inside the conductor and the electric field is not equal to zero. Okay. So now this electric field is in uniform direction. Okay. Uniform direction, we know that they are in the same direction. Electric field is in the same direction. Now let L be the length of the conductor. Let L be the length of the conductor. Now I can write this electric field as, now this electric field can be written as dV by dx. Okay, dV by dx. So dV is nothing but V, potential difference. Dx is nothing but the length, L. So E becomes, what is dV? Here in this case, dV is V, and in this case, dx is distance, right? Distance, that is L. Therefore, E becomes V by L. Okay, V by L. This is not R, this is L. Okay, L. You people will write it as R. It is L. Okay, so let me call this as equation 1. So it's a simple derivation. You can make some small expressions and you can arrive at the final expression. Now, due to this electric field, the electrons are expressing a force. Force is there, right? Because of this electric field, the electrons will experience some force, and that force can be written as F is equal to what is the formula for force which we learned in the previous chapter? Force is equal to Q naught E, right? This we used in our previous chapter. But in this case, we are using F is equal to, instead of the charge which is at rest, we are taking electrons. So that will be minus E into electric field E. Okay, minus E into E. Here minus sign indicates that the electric field and the force are in opposite direction. And if I take the magnitude of this, if I take the magnitude, you can neglect the negative sign and you can write F as, you can avoid negative sign by taking the magnitude, and you can write E into E. E into E. If I substitute the value of E in this, see we have got the value of E. What is E? E is equal to V by L. If I substitute the value of E in this, what I will get? F is equal to E, yes, E V by L. So this is one expression. Okay, this is one expression. Now let A be the area of the conductor. Okay, let A be the area of the conductor. Say A be the area of the conductor and N be the number of electrons present in the conductors. Okay, so there are N number of electrons, N number of electrons present in the conductor. Moving with a velocity, these electrons are moving with the initial velocity U. Okay, they are moving with the initial velocity U. For example, if you consider E1 electron, E2, E3, so on up to En, okay, their initial velocity means the starting velocity will be represented by U1, U2, U3, so on up to Un, and the final velocity means after they displace, after they move, okay, that is called as final velocity. Final velocity can be written as V1, V2, V3, and so on up to Vn. So U1 and V1 are the initial and final velocity of electron 1. So if you consider till En, so this is the expression. Okay. So now what happens? You have learned in your school days, or in your first year, I can say, or in 9th or 10th standard, you have learned about the average velocity. You know about the average velocity, right? What is the formula for average velocity? It's very simple. If you are considering the average velocity of E1 and E2, what you will do? U1 plus U2 divided by 2. If you are just considering 2, no, some U1 plus U2 divided by 2 will give you the average velocity. If you are considering N, then U1, U2, U3, so on up to N divided by N. Same thing we are going to do now. Therefore, average velocity, initial average velocity, okay? Initial average velocity can be written as U average. UAV is equal to U1 plus U2 plus U3 plus so on up to UN divided by N. But here in this case, look at this conductor. In this case, the electrons are at rest right now. When the battery was not connected, they were not rest in the sense they were beginning to start the motion. So that is the initial velocity. They begin. See, when you are going on a bike or in a car, you go sit on a bike and you start. Okay, that is your initial velocity. You're just starting it. That is the initial velocity. When you start, you have a different velocity. And when you reach some final point, that is called as the final velocity. Similarly, before they start to move, that is before the electron starts their movement, the initial average velocity will be 0. Okay, the initial average velocity will be 0. Therefore, UAV will be 0. So let us call this as equation 2. Let us call this as equation 2. This will be 0 because they are in the random motion. They still are getting to move. They are preparing themselves to move. So therefore, average velocity will be 0. Now I'll put on the battery. Now what I'll do, I'll put on the battery. Like you came and sat on the bike and you started the bike. Okay. Like that, I will put on the battery. As I switch on the battery, the electron starts to drift towards the positive end. Right? We studied this in the previous concept, electric current in the conductors. Right? When we put on the battery, these random electrons, the random motion of electrons, they try to move towards the positive end and they face resistance. But still they reach the positive end, and that is called as the conductance. We learned just now, right? Okay, the same thing is applied here. When I put on the battery, these electrons start to drift towards the positive end. Therefore, force on each electron is given by this, right? This one, F is equal to E into E, or else F is equal to EV by L. So this is what. these electrons, no, they start to move towards the positive end like this. Okay, so the force is applied. Force is applied. Getting. Now we have to find out the final velocity. As these electrons drift towards the positive terminal, they face acceleration. You know about the velocity, speed, acceleration. You have studied in your lower classes like ninth standard, 10th standard, and even in first year, I think. Okay, Newton's laws of motion, okay, equations of motion, acceleration, and all. Whenever there is a displacement, whenever a body is moving, it has some acceleration. When you sit on a bike and you give your accelerator, right? You give the accelerator, there is an acceleration producing. That is why your bike moves. Your bike has the acceleration. Similarly, when I put on the battery, when these electrons try to move towards the positive end, they face the acceleration. They face the acceleration, and that can be written as, you know that by Newton's law, right? In Newton's law, you know that F is equal to ma. This is the famous expression for force. We all know that mass into acceleration. We have been learning it from our school days. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. Very simple numericals we have solved, right? In school, they used to give you mass and they used to give you force and they used to tell you to calculate acceleration. Or they used to give you the value of acceleration and force and they used to ask you to calculate the mass. So this basic formula F is equal to ma, right? F is equal to ma. Now let me consider this as, okay, this will be equation 3 because this I forgot to write. This is equation 2. No, we'll take this as equation 2, this as equation 3, and this as equation 0. UAV is equal to 0 as equation 4, and this F is equal to MA as equation 5. Okay, we'll consider this as equation 5. Now, can I say that equation 2 and equation 5 are same? F is equal to EE and F is equal to MA. So I can write from equation 2 and 5, I can write MA is equal to E into E. I can write because they both are equal. So I'm writing ma is equal to E into E. If I just want A, if I want acceleration, what I can write? A is equal to E by M. This is the vector is in vector form, so we'll say E by M. And here this A is called as the constant acceleration of each electron. Constant acceleration of each electron. So we'll call this as equation 6. So I told you, no, this derivation has a simple expressions like this. One is of E, one is of F, and F into 1, 2, 3, 3 forms. And then we'll have the average initial velocity, initial average velocity, and then we have the acceleration. And now the final part of the calculation, that is the initial velocity, average initial velocity or the drift velocity. Now we'll come to the initial final velocity or the final average velocity or the drift velocity. Initial is this, sorry, I said initial. This has to be final. Average final velocity or the drift velocity. Average velocity or average final velocity is nothing but the drift velocity. So now let us calculate the uh, final velocity v1, v2 and v3. Shall I erase this diagram? Shall I erase this so that I can continue the derivation here? Okay. Draw the diagram. We'll continue here. So now v1 is the final velocity of E1, v2 is the final velocity of E2, and v3 of E3, and so on up to vn, which is of En. Okay. And now if I consider the equations of motion, you know, right? Equations of motion. And that I'll take the first equation, that is V is equal to U plus AT. You are very familiar with these equations. There are 3 equations of motions. In that, you have studied this in your 9th standard also and in first year also. But now I am considering only the first equation, that is V is equal to U plus AT. If you look at these expressions, we have U, we have A, right? Only T. T is constant. The time keeps on changing. Okay. So we have to find out what average final velocity. Average final velocity is nothing but the summation of V1, V2 and V3. Therefore, let us find out what is V1 first. V1 will be U1 plus a is constant because acceleration is a constant acceleration, a plus t1. Similarly, if you write for v2, v2 is equal to u2 plus a t2, v3 is equal to u3 plus a t3, and similar and so on up to vn is equal to un plus a tn. Now for the average velocity, you have to add this and then divide it by the numbers. Same like how you did for the initial average velocity. Same for the final velocity you have to do. What you will do, V average final velocity or the drift velocity is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 so on up to Vn by n. Vn by n. So this from here it is a very simple mathematics, Just substitute these in the place of v1, v2, v3 and v1 and then divided by n. If you are confused, if you are getting confused, then I will erase it and I will write it here. Better I'll write it. I don't want you to get confused and go to some other derivation, mix up the derivation. Okay, so I will solve it here. So what happens now? Average final velocity or the drift velocity can be written as, just a second, I will erase, can be written as, see here, average initial velocity VAV can be written as, what is the value of V1 from here? U1 plus AT1, right? Plus similarly, yes, U2 plus AT2 plus U3 plus AT3 so on up to un plus a tn whole divided by n. Whole divided by n. Now what I will do, I'll take all the u on one side and all the at on one side. So what happens? U1 plus U2 so on up to un divided by n. See, I can split the n. Here I am not considering multiplication. I am taking addition. Even this has n, even this has n, even this has n, and even this has n. In common, I have taken n. So I can separate n. So what I will do, I'll take this as u1 plus u2, so on up to un by n, plus a is common here. A I'll take outside. T1 plus T2 plus T3, so on up to Tn divided by n. It is not multiplication. Don't get confused that if I'm taking like this will be n square. No, we are doing the addition. Take the LCM and see, you will get n only. Okay, so I just taken n on both the side. Now from this equation, what was that? UAV, we got 0, right? Therefore, this whole thing becomes 0 because u1 plus u2 plus u3, that is average initial velocity, was 0. So this becomes 0. Therefore, V average is equal to 0 plus A will write as it is, and this whole equation, this whole expression can be represented by tau. Tau is nothing but the relaxation time. Therefore, this equation can be written as V average is equal to A into tau. But what is A? What is A? We know that A is here. So with all these small expressions, we can write this drift velocity in three forms. The first is this one, that is VAV. VAV is nothing but VD also. In some textbook they give VD, that is drift velocity. In some textbook they give VAV. Both are same. Don't get confused. If you see somewhere, if you see V average, it is drift velocity only. In some cases, if you see VD, it is drift velocity only. So we'll better move with this. We'll go with this. So there are three forms of writing. I will erase this V1 and I'll write it over here. Okay. So there are three forms of expressing drift velocity. One is the same thing. Vd is equal to A into tau. What is it? Vd is equal to A into tau. So this is one. Now in place of A, put the value of A, E by M. Put the value of A. Therefore, Vd becomes what? E M into tau. So this is the second one. This is the second one. See, in the beginning, I had written the value of E. In the beginning here, I had written the value of E. E is equal to what? V by L. V is the potential difference across the conductor and L is the length. Same thing in third can be written as third way of expressing drift velocity will be E. Substitute the value of E. This is here. V M into L and next is tau. So these are the three forms of expressing the drift velocity. Okay, this is all about the drift velocity. These three forms are very important. Okay, you may get any forms in CET. Okay, if they ask you only this acceleration and tau, you can adapt this expression. If they give you the electric field and the mass, go with this, right? If they give you the potential difference and the mass and the electron, go with this. So please be familiar with all the three expressions. So now what is the definition of a drift velocity? What is the definition of drift velocity? You may get it for 2 marks or 1 mark. Define drift velocity. Therefore, write it down. Drift velocity is defined as the average velocity with which free electrons of a conductor get drifted towards the positive end of the conductor when a potential is applied across the ends of the conductor. Shall I repeat it again? Drift velocity is defined as the average velocity with which free electrons of a conductor get drifted towards the positive end of the conductor when a potential is applied across the ends of the conductors. So this is the definition of drift velocity, and this is the derivation for the expression of drift velocity. So this is a very important concept, that is drift velocity. In the next class, we are going to deal with one more important concept, very important concept. You will, for sure, you will get it in your exam, either for 5 marks or for 3 marks or for 2 marks. The fixed question, that is Ohm's law. This Ohm's law will never leave the question paper. It is always present in the question paper. That is Ohm's law. Just like Coulomb's law, this is very important, Ohm's law. Okay, so in the next class, we will start with the Ohm's law. So now let us wind up the class and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.